so it's question 2, database of November 2020. And we found that we had to, when we want to, it's a database question, and in the November 20 paper, you have to scroll all the way down, you have to page all the way down to the very last. I'm recording this for the YouTube channel as well, or in case. So, less talking, more working. This TBL employees, we're in November 2020, you'll find it on the shared drive. And we are looking at the table called TBL employees and all the data about that table. And it's an import-export company. So unfortunately in the November 2020 paper, the November papers, you will always have the description of the database right at the end of the paper. So it's a good idea to actually tear that page or two out when you're doing question 2 so that you can look at this information while you're doing your question. Please keep your mask on at all times. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I'll just never know. So now TBL hour logs. Here's another table that's got the number of hours logged for an employee. Daily, it's a daily thing. So there's an auto number primary key. What is the primary key for the employees table? It was actually a text, a unique ID. So that's very important to know. Oh, there was no, I do not see the primary key. Although they're not saying, it's saying unique ID, so employee ID must be the primary key. And over here, auto number, the log ID must be the primary key there because it's a unique number assigned to employees' working hours. Employee ID, that would be like a foreign key because doesn't that come from the employee table? So you see, employee ID comes from the employee table, so which is the many side? The many side is this table here, TBL hour logs. Then we have log date, the date in which hours were logged, and then hours worked, the number of work hours logged for a specific employee for the day. Anyway, bit of mumbo jumbo, but we can look at our relationship diagram, which is very important. This is one of the main things. You can actually see at a glance the field names, and it's much clearer to look at that one employee logs many hours. So it's every day that they worked, their log date that's been logged, the hours that are worked for that day, and then just a primary key to hold it. And that employee ID is the foreign key on this TBL hours logged in this one-to-many relationship because it's on the many side. It's borrowed from the TBL employees. So we have TBL employees, TBL hour logs. Those are the names of the tables. But in the question paper, they're also going to be the names of the, what's the name? The ADO table components, because I find that happens a lot. So I'm just going to go and print this quickly because I want to have a look at this while I'm working. It's not going to be easy to write code, and you have to keep shifting down to the actual page where your diagram is of your tables, because that's quite tricky. So now I'm going on to question 2, doing queries. Okay, so question 2 is always the queries. 2.1, if it says SQL, then you're going to write queries, okay? That's 2.1, SQL, writing queries. Have a look over here. They tell you there's a variable called TBL employees and TBL hour logs. These are ADO table components. So that is used for question 2.2. The query components, the query questions use an ADO query component. Okay, so that is what that does. So we're going to go and have a look at our code now and the question as well. Right, in question 2.1.1, the list of employees. You're going to double click the button, and in there you're going to have a select something or other, okay? Because in this particular question it says display. When it says display, then we know we use select. Select all information on employees. Right. All information on employees, meaning select star from the table called TBL employees. Fortunately, Access is not worried about capital letters of your table names or the field names either. Now what I'm actually going to do quickly is just do a screenshot of this relationship diagram, because otherwise you can't see what I'm talking about. Oh, never, that didn't work. Oh no, I don't do screenshot, I just do this, edit. Oh wait, never, file. Where is it? Not going to let us. Oh, there, take a snapshot. Okay, we just want to take a snapshot of this because we want to see it when we're doing our work. We don't want to have it on a have to scroll through all the pages, or if you, so like I said, if you write the exam, you tear out that last bit because that's the database definition and you're going to need it when you're doing your program. So now I'm going to look at it over here. So you can see TBL employees, so that's a much clearer description. You just have to realize that hourly wage, what kind of data type is it, job title and first aid training, what are they? Could be Boolean data types here. I'm assuming that you are watching, otherwise I'm just wasting my time. I know you are. Right, so here we go. Beyond 2.1.1, all information on employees table, sorry, oh near that. And firstly sorted in ascending order according to job title, okay, sorted, so we're going to say order, but you've got to leave a space here, because you're putting it on a new line, space between all the words, order, by, and the other, it's called job title. Like I said, you don't have to put all the capital letters in. Luckily, Access is quite good on that one now. Secondly, according to hourly wage in descending order. But ascending order for job title, so it's ASC, then comma, hourly wage, DESC. So you see that. We first thought about job title in ascending order, then hourly wage in descending order. Right, next. Display these things. Employer ID, last name and first name fields of employees whose job title contains the word engineer. When you see something like this, where a job title contains something, when you know you're going to use the like operator with a wildcard. So employer ID, last name, first name. So next question, yeah, SQL2. Select employee ID. What's come first? Last name next. Last name, comma, first name. And I'm going to put that on a new line because I'm going to use a plus and a space from table employees. Are we sure it's only going to be from one table? Is there a where statement, a condition? And it's all of these fields. The way you can figure out if something's from one table or two tables is if you look at the fields. Are they from the one table? Only one table. All of those three fields are only from TBL employees. So you can only say from TBL employees. Right. And we're going to have a where statement here. Where. And what is it, the thing about? It's where the job title, like, if you want to use wildcards like the percentage sign, then you say where job title, like, and then, is it job title? Engineer. And then we're going to put, this is the thing, we have to use two single inverted commas, put a percentage sign, type the word engineer, another percentage sign, and two single inverted commas. Otherwise, you'll put that in quoted str. If you don't do it like that, then you can do it like this. Plus quoted STR, open brackets, percentage engineer, and you know we're going to put the wildcard on both sides because we want to have, you know, if the word contains something, then you know it's going to be in, that can be anything before or after that word engineer. I think at this point we should run our program to see if this works. So I'm going to do that. Because if it doesn't work, then I'll have to eat my hat, or whatever it is. I don't have a hat, but I'll have to eat something. Anyway, where is it? I don't see the word engineer anyway. That's super weird. Oh, wait, I still don't see engineer. Where's job title? There's no job title here at all. Oh, we're only selecting certain things. That's right. We're not displaying the job title. I actually want to display the job title so I can see. Comma, job title. There we go. Now we can see if those job titles are legit. Yes, they are. So, good, it worked. I actually like this method where you use a quoted string. And remember, you would put if you're going to put a variable in there, then you have to add these as quotations before and after the variable. You know what I mean? It was like this. Quoted str plus, and then you have to put s name, you know what I mean? Plus. If you're going to take a variable that the person used, then you have to put a variable in there and put these on the outside as strings. So it's taking a string and putting it in double inverted commas. That's basically what it's doing. That's what quoted str does. Very tricky, but very important that you know how to do that. Okay. Right, I'm just going to leave this now. I'm tired. Right, next one. Next one. I'm busy recording all of this. Thank goodness. And now we're going to move on to job titles. Number 3. Display a list of all the different job titles at the company. Each job title must be displayed once. Right. Now that's a tricky one. We have to go and look at our data in our tables right at the end, because are there going to be more than one job title in your field, in your table? It's job titles at a company. There's only one table involved here, and that's TBL employees. How do I know that? Because there's job title there. Okay? Look at the dot objective screen. I made a screenshot of the relationship diagram, so you don't have to do that. But yeah, we do need to go and look down at the end of the table. I mean, end of the page to see. And sample data always helps to clear our minds a bit, maybe. If you see job title, we have a couple of electrical engineers. Can you see that? A couple of, and there will be, there's more than one crane operator, there's more than one electrical engineer. So, yes, we have to go and count. In other words, aggregate function. So we can use a count and a group by. That should be interesting, hey? So, what are we displaying? Let's go and have a look. Do they give us a detailed list of what is being displayed? There needs to be an example, a sample of output. It normally is. Okay, sample of output. Oh wait, they have not giving us a sample of output. No, let's update. Let's update. Sorry, yeah. No, let's add. What? Where am I? I'm on 2.2. We were supposed to be on 2.1. 2.1.3. There's a sample out. Just job title. Okay. Right, so let's do it. Select. Display list. Oh, this is not going to be group. This is going to be distinct. Not group. This is not group by or count. Keep your mouse on, please, at all times. This is not group by. This is not count. It's select distinct. Job title from TBL employees. No duplicates. That's all it is. Yes. It only just gives ones, if there's duplicates, it's only going to show one of them. That's all. That's it. Now, let's move on. Remove records. And how many marks was that? That was 3 marks, see? It's just one line. Select distinct job title from TBL employees. It's just basically, if there's more than one thing, it's only going to display one of them. And that's all they wanted from that program, from that question. Now, number 3. Oh, we did that, hey? Number 2.1.4, remove records. I like remove because you know what? We're going to do hard drive changes now. There's no select here. They say remove, we're going to delete from a table where you have to memorize all this code for deleting, updating, and inserting in SQL. A number of records with incorrect data on the hours worked have been captured in TBL hours logs table. Remove all the records where the hours worked is recorded as 99. So I didn't really pay much attention when I was reading that first line. My interest got me over here when it says remove all records where the hours worked is 99. Code is provided display message saying, okay, let's do it. Easy peasy one. And it's only going to be a few marks because it's only 2 marks because it's very, very easy. So you say delete. Oh wait, which one? It's 4, hey? It's here. Delete from TBL. No. Which one is it? Are we deleting? Where hours worked. From TBL hour logs. So we're going to delete from TBL hour logs. Okay, so it's fine. We can delete from the many side. Can you see we have the many side? They want us to delete from this side. We can. We just can't delete from TBL employees unless we delete from TBL hour logs first. But they only want us to delete from the many side, so we're safe. We say delete from, and it's only 2 marks. TBL hour logs. Delete from that table where hours worked equals 99. And that's it. 2 marks. So 1 marks for delete from TBL hour logs, where hours worked equals 99. That's the second mark allocated. And that's what you can expect in grade 12, that you're going to have little marks allocated for something that you think maybe is difficult, but it's actually easy on grade 12 level. Okay, now we're going to move down to 2.1.5, overtime. So we're going to do a calculation, and remember we always do calculations in select statements. In the select part of your query, select and then calculate from such and such, where such and such. So employees are paid overtime for each hour exceeding 8 hours per day. Employees are paid overtime for each hour exceeding 8 hours a day. So if they overtime is double his regular hourly wage. Calculate and display the total amount each employee has been paid for overtime hours worked, formatted to currency. So we are actually going to be doing something awful here. We have an hourly wage there in the TBL employees, and we have hours worked as well. But we must remember, what must we display? Display using the field named overtime AMT. And we're going to display the last name and the calculated overtime AMT. Now that gives me a very good clue about what to do, even though I might be a little blank right now. So I'm going to display that first. I'm going to put that in my display. I'm going to say select something something as overtime. What is this? Okay, first I'm going to select last name. I'm going to select last name first. Let's put last name in. So we're going to group by last name, comma, and then something something as overtime AMT. Now, if we have a look, which field does last name sit? I mean, which table, sorry. Yeah. Now, hours worked is in TBL hour logs. TBL hour logs, but we have hourly wage as well. So which one do they want us to work with here? Are we working with the hours logged and the hourly wage? Now, the hourly wage, so overtime for each hour exceeding 8 hours per day. So if they go over 8 hours per day, then we're going to go and, calculate and display the total amount each has been paid for overtime hours worked. Format is current. Display the amount using field name. So we have to go through 2 tables, and there's 9 marks for this. So this is a 2-table query. So I'm going to construct it like that. So I've got that, and I'm going to join this to a from statement, which will show me that we're dealing with 2 tables, TBL employees. Get this out of the way. TBL, take note, I'm doing this in piece by piece. Now, I know that it's in 2 tables. How do I know that? Well, overtime hours. Hours worked is in TBL hour logs, and hourly wage is in TBL employees. Also, I looked at the marks for this question. 9 marks. You can't make a 9-mark query out of just 1 table. But that's just my, I'm just thinking straight off the bat here. But I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to calculate our overtime amount. But while I'm doing that, let's finish off the rest, which is the easy part. So I'm going to join this to a where statement. Why? Because whenever we display or do anything from 2 tables, we have to quote the join of the 2 tables. Where? TBL employees dot, what's the join? Employee ID equals TBL hours, hour logs dot employee ID. Now you must never forget to quote the join of your 2 tables when you're doing a table, when you realize, okay, I've got 2 tables involved in this query. I hope I'm not wasting my time here. Seriously hope. It looks like I am. For obvious reasons. Anyway, so here we go. So, I mustn't forget there's a space there. I've got to make sure I do not put the space there. And there's a space over here, and a space in front of here. From TBL employees, TBL hour logs, where in TBL employees, can you see this is the foreign key, primary key. Here's the foreign key, that's the primary key. That's the join. You've got to quote the join if you're going to use 2 tables. Now we're going to have an and here. And we're also going to possibly have a group by going down here. But I'm not going to worry about that until I get to it. First I have to worry about how am I going to calculate my overtime amount. So let's go and have a look. To help us a little bit, let's go and look at the data types for this table. So we do need to actually look at the data in the table. It helps to have the database open, but unfortunately you're not going to be able to get the database open. So we have an hourly wage here, okay? And then we have, so the hourly wage is what's the name? A real number, and then we have the hours worked. So, if the hours worked is greater than 8, we are going to group by last name having hours worked greater than 8. They said if the hours worked are greater than 8, then we've got to add overtime. But we're going to do some calculation here of the overtime. How are we going to calculate that? We don't even know how many hours are actually worked overtime. So this is a bit of a tricky one. We've got to work with the hourly wage, of course. So there's your hourly wage. And there is There's your hours worked, okay? So we can say hours worked minus 8 in our calculation, because that would be the hours worked, so subtract 8 from it and multiply that by hourly wage times by the hours worked. So this is a stretch, isn't it? Even for me. This is what I'm getting. But actually, we're not going to have a halving statement here. We'll just group by. Because we're not going to use any condition. Because we're already calculating the hourly wage there, you see? Hourly wage times by the number of hours worked minus 8. Because I said anything over 8, that is overtime. But they also said, what is the overtime wage? What is the overtime wage? We're getting somewhere. Do you see how we got to the answer? By doing the stuff that we know first, and then getting into the meat of the thing. So putting the outside, the structure in, like I just did there. So what's happening here now is they're saying employees' overtime pay is double his regular hourly wage. So guess what? Hourly wage times 2. 2 times. So we do our little maths calculation over here. 2 times hourly wage times by how many hours worked minus 8. I'm so glad when a plan comes together. Always feels so good. And then we have our overtime amount there from TBL employees. Now the proof is in the running of the program to see if I have any errors and so on. All right, so I do. What did I do? Operand not applicable to this operand type. I'm obviously adding something. Oh, there we go. Semicolon over there. Mustn't be there. If you're going to put things on different lines like that, then you must make sure, you're not going to put semicolons at the end of any of those lines, because that's what happened. The semicolon there. Right, let's run. Where are we? Oh, overtime. Oops. TBL hour. I spelled the field wrong, so let's go and fix that. TBL hour logs. So let's go run it again. And click on remove record. Oh, I did that already. Okay, fine. Overtime. Spot. You try to execute a query that does not include as part of an aggregate function. Oh, it's not an aggregate function. That's right. Run program reset. We are actually supposed to be adding up. So we actually need to have a sum here of all of this. No, surely not. Because remember, we're going to go through every single row and we'll find many. We want to add all of. We're going to sum up all of his. What's the name? His overtime money. So this is calculating the overtime money. This is summing up that lot for each person's surname. Their last name. And we're going to group by last name. So if you sum, that's the aggregate function. See, it was not part of an aggregate function. It had to have either sum or count or average, those aggregate functions. Then you can say group by the other field, that other field there. So let's go and do this. Oh my word, I'm so scared. Is this correct? Let's have a look. Is that correct, people? You need to tell me. You're looking at your question paper. Are you sure? The numbers? Are you looking at the numbers? Okay, thanks. We actually should format as currency, shouldn't we? Okay, so let's go format it at the same time. That's a lot of stuff for 9 marks, I have to say. Format. And we do that, and then all we do is go, and then we've got to close this bracket, and then we say comma, and then double inverted commas, currency. I think that's right, if I'm not mistaken. Comma 2. I'm hoping that's correct. If you won't get a format of currency, then you put fixed in there. And that'd be the number of decimal places. Let's see if that is correct. So this is very important. You can get this in your exam as well, anytime. So there it is. Woohoo! I really love it when something works, eh? And I was like guessing that. Well, I basically had to basically stretch my memory a bit here, which is not getting any better as I get older. So anyway, there's format. Right. I hadn't done that for a while and I remembered it, so I'm sure you guys could be quite good at it because you've got young brains. Right, now we're going to go to, now that's queries done. Now we're going to do the ADO table component, question 2.2, where you use ADO table components, it says if you put SQL in here, you won't get marks, and vice versa. So there's 3 ADO table components here, questions should I say. So we're going to use the same database tables, obviously, structures. We want to look at the field names and so on. So we're going to go over here, number 1, 2.1.1, display the employee ID, last name and job title of all employees who have completed first aid training in the rich edit component Aug Q2. So you're going to display into the rich edit. So we use ADO table components to do that. You don't use anything else. Count the number of employees who completed first aid training. So we're going to count, and we're also going to display that below all the employee details. So we're going to go through table one row at a time, display names, RD names, and job for everyone who completed first aid training in the rich edit. So we're going to go through table one line at a time. Let's go and see where's the code for that. Okay, it's on the other tab sheet. There it is. So, employees with first aid training, there's a rich edit over here called RED question 2. There's a button called 2.2.1. We'll double click the button and we'll write our code here. Now, we have to use the ADO table component that they said we must use right at the beginning of this question. Right up here. So, you've got to go back to this question there, and you'll see, oh my word, it's right over there. Can you see ADO table, data type? TBL employees and TBL hour logs, they just happen to be the same name as the table that we're dealing with, but so what, that's how it goes. Right, TBL employees, we're going to say TBL, and we don't have to do a with statement, that's the magic. You don't have to use the ADO table component, so we just got to do our simple structure, while not TBL employees.end of file from grade 11, we learned how to do this. And you examined on this in grade 11 as well. And you're going to put your structure in, and you have to put over here you say TBL employees.next. And over here you're going to say if TBL employees, square brackets, and it is first aid training. And look at me, I'm being very daring, I'm not even using capitals. If that equals true, I think they want to know if it's true, then we'll put it in the rich edit. I'm just guessing here now. Where's the question? Now we've got to scroll all the way back down. Like I said, you go and cut your pages off at the end so you can get your database description and everything. Count the number of employees complete. Okay, all who have completed first aid training. So first aid training, there's a tick there for that. And then we're going to count it while we display it. So we'll do begin and end. You're going to say RED question 2 dot lines dot add, display the last name, employee, this is how you do it, employee ID, square brackets, last name, and we're also going to go and count. TBL employees, yeah. This is supposed to be TBL employees. ADO table component, and then in square brackets you put the column heading. And now, what we're going to do here, we're going to increment a counter. But we don't have a counter. Where's the counter coming from? What are we going to do? There's no counter. Well, We make one. A local variable, var, count, colon, integer. And we're going to set it to 0. If you don't initialize your count, it's going to become some really random number. Because this count is a local variable. Local integers get random numbers allocated to them. Right, what do we have to, are we displaying the last name? What else are we displaying? Looks like there's something else we have to display. We have to display the employee ID, the last name, and the job title. Oh my soul. It's a lot of stuff. So let's go and copy and paste and do a lot of copying and pasting. Beg your pardon? You've got to count how many people were in the first aid. If you're reading the question, then you would know. Employee ID. Last name and then job title. They said they must count. We must count and display how many there are. Count the number of employees who complete the first aid training. Display results below. The employee's details are shown below. So I'm going to, after this, so in the side of this loop, we're busy saying if it's true, then we're going to display it and increment counter. Right at the end of the loop here, you must know where's the end of your while loop, and remember to always put employees.next, otherwise nothing's going to happen. And then it says red question 2 dot lines dot add, and let's go and put in a space like an empty line. There it goes, empty line, and then you say red question 2 dot lines dot add into string count, join that to first aid trained, something to this effect. And then we finish with that question. Now I can't wait for you to finish typing because we have to get moving. So maybe just watching is a good idea. So we go to question 2.2, and there it is. We didn't use #9s. You lose a couple of marks, or maybe only one mark, if you don't put your #9s in your display. Can you see I just did that? I didn't put a #9 plus. That's your tab stops. #9 plus. The employees of first aid, there they are. Perfect job. Now that was, how many marks? 7. The next question is 6 marks. We're going to add a new employee, that's easy, and then the last one we'll have an update. So these are going to be hard drive changes, but we're not using query components. We're using add your table component. And when you add a new thing, you're going to use insert. You do not go to the first row of the table. You do not use a while loop to go through it, to insert. You don't. When they say add a new employee, it's a whole row you're inserting. You don't go and loop, through the table. All you have to do is .insert. So let's go to the button, click add new employee, and we're going to say TBL employee .insert. Insert, and then you're going to do a whole lot of lines, and you say TBL employees .post. Those are the 2 lines that are necessary. Inside here, we're going to refer to each of the fields that are going to be inserted, have values placed in them. So you're going to do this a couple of times because there's going to be many. So I don't know how many there are. Maybe there's 6. I don't know. I might have to delete one. Right. Let's have a look. Employee ID. So this is going to be rather painful. Employee ID. In fact, I wish I could copy and paste EMP986. Now, employee ID is a string. Inverted commas EMP986. Then we have first name. So, which, look at me not being scared of using capitals. And this is a Robert. I just haven't got time for that. Remember, you're always rushing in your exams. Last name. Luckily, we don't have to worry about capitals anymore because this, I think it's Office that's actually made that available. Office 365. Never used to be a problem. Capitals used to be a problem. Remember that Microsoft Access, the database you're working with, is an Office package. Hourly wage is $1.95. Now, hourly wage, people, is a real number, but you do not type an R195. No, 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 no. You just type 195. It was 19.30, then it'll be 19.30, but it's not, it's 195 on the dot. It's a real number, not with rands and cents. Job title, marine engineer. Job title. Luckily, I remember how these things are spelled. Marine engineer. What else? Am I going too fast? I know. So, the other girl wants to do it, so I have to go slower. Yeah, I'll give you time, Lovey. You can type it if you want. Oh, you're fast. Right, first aid training. First aid training equals, guess what you put here? True without inverted commas. And there's one left. And that's it. Can you see how we've done that? That actually wasn't such a bad example, but you see, you have to know to use. And there it is, added. The last one. Update Update hours worked. The administrator is able to change the log number of hours for a record in the TVL hour logs table. The user must select a record in the database grid and enter the value. I didn't actually hear any of that, what I just mumbled. We want to update the hours worked field of the selected record to the value obtained from the edit box. Okay, the question here is that the problem, should I say, not the, oops, I'm shouting here. Bad. The question, okay, when we do this, right, we go there. Now the person's going to click on an employee, like such, in the database grid. I've never seen this before, but you could have it inside the, you could have it in your November paper or your trial paper, but this is something that I haven't seen in a paper before, but it's, as you can see, you can have it in a paper because it's here, a November paper. So you click on employee and then you go to type in an hours and you're going to update the hours worked for that particular employee. Now how do we know? Well, this is the thing. When you click on one of these rows here in runtime, that is the active record. You don't have to worry. You just have to say .edit and .post. That's it. You do not have to have a loop looking for that particular employee because it's been selected. Now, if you had to go and look at the marks for this, 5 marks, because why? That's what it is. We're just going to do a .edit and then a .post. So we're replacing the current number of hours worked. The administrator is able to change the log number of hours for a record in the table. The user must select a record in the DB grid, enter the value in the edit box, and then we do that. So write code to update the hours worked field of the selected record from the edit box. So let's go and see why that is actually no, we're going to do it this way. VAR SRD colon string. We're going to read the SRD off from the selected field in this table. What's the table called? Employee ID, isn't it? I mean TVL employees. The hourly wage is going to change. So they clicked on the employee. We want to get the primary key field, so I'm going to say it's TBL employees, square brackets, employee ID. And I know that employee ID is a string. And then I'm going to say TBL employees. Now I'm going to go through each table, each row, sorry. While, you can't just do in dot edit and post. While not TBL employees dot end of file do begin and end. We're going to say, and I can also do this TBL employees dot next. I'm going to say if TBL employees square brackets employee ID equals SRD, then we'll do begin and end. Actually, this is more than 5 marks, isn't it? TBL employees, it's not wrong, dot edit. You're updating, so you're going to dot edit. The main thing is to know you're editing. Square brackets, hourly wage, colon equals string to float. And we're going to assume that what comes into that edit box is going, they never told you to check. EDT question 2 underscore 2 underscore 3. Question 2 underscore 2 underscore 3 dot text. So they didn't ask you to check to see if that was a valid real number. What happens next though is that you have to say TBL employees dot post. If you don't do that, then you're going to lose a mark for that line. So that's 1, 2, 3 marks. I'm not happy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, fine. Maybe we don't need to do all of this Rasmarol, but it's not wrong if we did. You know what I mean? But if it's only 5 marks, if you did this, you'd get your 5 marks, that's for sure. But if you just did that, because the person clicked on the field, that they want to edit. They clicked on this, I'm going to run it and see. They clicked on, let's say I'm going to put him, he's going to have 100 Rand hour, so this one. Then I put in 100 Rand here. Update hours worked. You see? That works because we clicked on that field. So there's that. But if you did the while loop, getting the employee ID and then running through the loop, that's also okay. That's also right. You would still get your 5 marks as long as you got this. Can you see how I deleted everything else around there with the loop? So they're obviously making 5 marks for this. 1 mark for edit, 1 mark for post, 1 mark for the field over there, hourly wage, 1 mark for string to float, and 1 mark for the edit box contents. That's how I can see how they've marked that. So there we go. That's the end of question 2.